Welcome to the 12th Horseshoe Podcast, exclusively live on our brand new YouTube channel and on Search Sports YouTube. Jack Rizzo, Elijah Weintraub joining you here. We're so glad you can join us here today as we recap Week 5 in the National Football League, which was filled with excitement and craziness. Today's show is sponsored by Proven Italian Eatery in Moonachie, New Jersey. Don't forget to visit their website or in store in Moonachie, New Jersey. Jack, how are we doing today?
Doing good, Eli. Let's get into some game breakdowns.
All right, we can't wait for. But first and foremost, we would like to give our prayers and thoughts to the people of Florida as they're about to get hit
Yes.
and currently hit with a Category 5 hurricane. It's expected to
Well,
get
it's a
less and worse.
it's a
It's
category.
Category 3 entering
Yeah.
now, but it was a Category 5 at one point. It's still strong and powerful, so we do send our thoughts and prayers and hope for
Yes.
the best of the people of Florida. Also, before we get into the games, we need to talk about some breaking news that happened overnight yesterday. Robert Saleh, the New York Jets head coach, has been fired by the New York Jets, and that was big news that came out of it. And my initial thoughts, I'm going to give my thoughts real quickly. I posted this on X, formerly Twitter. You can follow me at Elijah Weintraub if you have not already. My thoughts initially are this. The Vikings game, they lost to 23-17 was the final score. And we'll get to the Vikings Jets game in a little bit, but I want to just talk about Robert Saleh first. Your quarterback threw in that game 3 interceptions. How is that your fault? Second of all, defense is really good. How is that your fault? Offense is pretty bad. That's not your problem. Like, is it? Nathaniel Hackett should have been the one that had to go in reality. If you really think about it, Hackett should have been gone first before Robert Saleh. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions, and I think the Jets made a wrong move. I think they're worried about other things and not the right things. Looking at how it went yesterday, looking at everything, I do believe it is Aaron Rodgers had something to do with it. Although he's not admitting it, he was on Pat McAfee today. Although he went to other networks, he said it. I believe Aaron Rodgers had a big say in this decision on why Robert Saleh left. I know they're not admitting it to the media, but I have a good feeling that was the reason why. I think it all had to do with Aaron Rodgers and so the general managers and everybody of the Jets can do it. And there was also a lot of rumors. They said that he was supposed to be thrown out. He was thrown out, escorted out by security, which I thought that was absolutely rude. I mean, horrible by the New York Jets. And yeah, I mean, there's not much more I could say. And we do have a comment from Kurt Valenti. He says, Jets win Monday night. Jets win AFC East. Rodgers runs this franchise. I agree with the Rodgers runs this franchise, Kurt, but I do not agree. They will not win Monday night. They will not win the AFC East. I think this is one of the worst decisions that the Jets have ever made in franchise history, and it's very early, only in Week 5. Jack? He's muted. It's okay. Jack, you could unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted myself.
It's okay.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Eli. You had to feel this was going to happen. The Jets have not lived up to expectations so far. I'm not sure if this is the right decision. It should have been Hackett first. I agree with what you said there. Defense has done its job, but again, the job of the head coach is to lead the whole team. And right now, there is not a lot of. It seems like Saleh may have lost the locker room. We don't know that for sure, but we'll see what the Jets do. Jeff Ulbrich, their defensive coordinator, is their new interim head coach.
All right, thank you, Jack. Well, again, they did lose to the Vikings 23-17. The Vikings did have a fantastic win over in London. I mean, there's not much more I could say about that game in reality. I mean, it was just a big win for the Minnesota Vikings down in London, although they did kept it close. The big test, of course, will be for the New York Jets on Monday night in East Rutherford versus the Buffalo Bills. And again, it is a division opponent, so this will be huge. But again, I do feel this is a wrong decision. So that's enough about the Jets. We talked a little bit about the Vikings. We're going to move along to the next game, though. Robert Saleh, we did cover kind of most of it. Jack, you have any other thoughts about Minnesota, or should we just move along?
The Vikings defense really saved the offense in this one. Sam Darnold looked like the Jets version of Sam Darnold. But good one for the Vikings and a big bye week for them coming.
Okay, thank you, Jack. And next game, we have the Dolphins over the Patriots, 15-10. Again, this was a division game. The Dolphins have been struggling, but they did come back with a win. The Patriots did not look good. Again, their early start was a strong run, but it sounds like that the downgrade's happening. They have announced that there will be a change in quarterback. Heading up to this week, the Patriots are going to be taking on the Texans at home. That'll be a big game to watch out. Any thoughts there, Jack, on that game?
Yeah, if you watch this game, I'm sorry, but tough game. One of these teams going to come out with it, end up being the Dolphins, and looks like we might start seeing some Drake May now.
All right, in a game that we really would thought that would be a bigger win for the Texans and a bigger performance by the Buffalo Bills was wrong. The Texans win 23-20 only over the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have definitely been struggling. Playing calling has been issued. There was a lot of issues overall in that game that Buffalo struggled with. For Houston, it was a big win nonetheless, and they were on top yet again. But again, I don't trust this Houston team going forward again. They may win these next couple of games. Their schedule is decent, but remember this: they've only won these past couple of games by less than 5 points. That was the width of what they won these games by. You cannot trust this Texans team. Although the hype is there, I'm still going to be picking on the Texans. They're going to still win these games, in my opinion, for most of these games. However, you just got to remember this one thing. They only won games by less than 5 points. It's not a fully good Texans team. They are struggling for sure, though. Jack?
Yeah, it wasn't exactly all bright for the Texans on Sunday. They lost Nico Collins, their star receiver, on IR with a hamstring injury. But I agree with you. The Bills' play calling was an issue. I think the Bills will be just fine. So will the Texans. But they have a good get-right game against the Patriots this week after a tough schedule ensues after that.
Okay, the Ravens beat the Bengals in overtime, 41-38. Second overtime game for week number 5. The Ravens, again, cutting it close, but they did their job. The Bengals really were in it to win it. They were definitely strong, and they woken up since that week 1 loss that really said the future for them. The good news is, though, the Texans did get the victory. Not Texans. The Ravens did get the victory there. Big win for them, and we'll see how it plays out the rest of the way. They do have both very tough competitions next week. The Ravens will have the Commanders. That's going to be a great game to watch out for. It could go either way. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, they have Sunday night in Jersey versus the New York Giants. Jack, any thoughts on this game?
We had 2 Game of the Year candidates in Week 5. We had the Thursday night game between the Bucs and Texans, and we had this game, 41-38. It was a great game. It's really a shame, Eli, with the Bengals. Joe Burrow leads the league in touchdown passes, yet the Bengals are 1-4. That is unacceptable. That just shows how bad their defense has been. Neither team really wanted to win this game, Eli, but the Ravens ended up coming out with it. It's always great to see these AFC North matchups, and we'll see if the Bengals can climb out of that 1-4 hole.
Okay, thank you, Jack. And the next game that we'll talk about is the Browns Commanders, 1 p.m. on Fox. That was the previous game that it was on. The Commanders took care of business, 34-13. There's not much more I could say about this game. The Commanders were really good. The Browns were really sloppy. They're going to end up getting the number 1 draft pick after how horrible this season is going to literally for them. But overall, the Commanders, fantastic performance. And are they for real? Big test next week. If they could beat Baltimore, they're in it to win it, and they have a shot at winning the AFC East.
I am so excited for that game next week against Baltimore. I think what's really been impressive, though, these last couple weeks has been the Commanders' defense. It was the worst defense in the league last year, and it looks like Dan Quinn has got that turned around. We know what the offense can do already, and I'm so excited for that game against the Ravens next week. And as for the Browns, it's time to give Jameis Winston a shot. They can't be playing Deshaun Watson every week out there.
All right, Lions, Chargers, Eagles, and Titans were all on bye this week. Next week, you have the Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Vikings all on bye. To the next game, we go to the Jaguars beat the Colts 37-34. A very high-scoring game. Again, Colts love it also. This AFC team, this AFC division loves to keep it close. And we saw it again. The Colts lose to the Jaguars by 3. The Colts were in it. They had a shot. Pittman out for a while, looks like. And I just picked him up fantasy, just dropped him out because I did not pay attention. Either way, bad performance day for the Colts. The Jaguars did get the victory, though, so that's a positive note. And any other thoughts on this game, Jack?
We could, you talk about the Colts injuries. We could make a whole separate podcast just talking about that. But as for this game, we just talked about the worst defense from last year with the Commanders. Let's talk about the worst defense this year, which is the Indianapolis Colts right now. We know the Colts can score points. We know they can score points. It's just a matter of how many points will they give up. And ultimately, the defense cost them this week. It was an unacceptable performance. Gus Bradley has to be on the hot seat. And I think the Colts just have too many injuries right now. I don't really know how they can overcome all these injuries, and I guess we'll just see what happens the rest of the season. But good one for the Jaguars, especially with 2 games upcoming in London. They've got a chance to get back on track.
The Panthers lose to the Bears 36-10. Another disappointing Panther performance by the Panthers. Seems like even the switch isn't worth it. So it looks like the guy's who name?
Bryce Young.
Thank you. I'm blanking here. I always do that every once a week on the
Sorry,
show.
Eli.
Bryce Young, of course, seems like he could be the answer still for Carolina, even though he did not play in that game. So the good news is Carolina could still have their number 1 quarterback at potential. It looks like just everything needs to change for this Carolina team. Looks like a lot of failure overall. Bears, though, big win for them, 36-10. Jack?
Yeah, the Bears, just seem to get better and better each and every week. This is quietly one of the best defenses in the league. They've only given up more than 20 points once all year. Caleb Williams has been improving. That connection with DJ Moore is really facilitated. And I'm excited to see what the Bears do going forward. And as for the Panthers, yeah, I think it's time to put Bryce Young back behind center.
The Broncos are victorious over the Raiders 34-18. The Raiders really been struggling, and the Broncos really did a fantastic performance. I'm sure Kurt is happy about it from all in high school sports. He is probably loving it. And of course, they're two straight wins against the Jets previously, and now the Raiders against their division. The Raiders are looking good, and that's because Russell Wilson not on that team. But again, they are playing weak teams at this point.
Talk about another underrated defense. Talk about the Broncos defense. They've done an outstanding job all year. Again, similar to the Bears. They've only given up more than 20 points once all year. That was in week 1 against Seattle, when Seattle scored 26 points against Denver. But they just get better and better each every week. Seems like Bo Nix is really starting to settle in. Sean Payton is doing his thing, developing his quarterback. As for the Raiders, another quarterback change. We're going to see Aiden O'Connell next week. The Raiders have just not looked very good at all, Eli. I still have no clue how they beat the Ravens on the road a couple weeks ago. That still just blows my
Absolutely
mind.
insane, isn't it? All right. Next game on the list, Cardinals beat the 49ers. Let that sit there for a second. 24-23 was the final score. Let's just say this. San Francisco's struggling, and they're without their weapons. However, they're going to go into Seattle. They're going to be strong. They're looking for a win. They lost to both of their division teams so far. The Rams they lost to, and they've also lost to the Cardinals. Could they lose to Seattle? That'll be a big question. I would for sure love it. But again, I don't know. San Francisco's always has done very good in the past in Seattle. Only time will tell. Overall, disappointing day again, once more for this 49ers team. Defense did not hold it together. And for the Cardinals, a lucky win in San Fran.
Yeah, Eli, you broke it down perfectly. A lot of people are asking, are the 49ers frauds? And I don't think they are at all. I just think they need some time to get
No,
healthy
they
and
just
get
need
their play
weapons.
together. Yeah, they're just sloppy. Hopefully Christian McCaffrey can come back. They really need him to come back. They need everybody else to get healthier. But this is a great road win for the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray looks like the old Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr. doing his thing. And the Cardinals defense really stepped up this week. They did a great job against that powerful San Francisco offense. So a big division win for Arizona. They're now 2-0 in the NFC West. So big development there.
All right, the next game on the list, we have the Packers with the big win over the Rams, 24-19. The Rams had opportunities, but the Packers took care of business. Jordan Love seems to be the answer, and this Packers team is looking very good. And the Packers, of course, will have we'll have the Cardinals next week, which will be a good game because the Cardinals, again, did almost beat the San Francisco 49ers, so that'll be a big game to test them out. And we'll see if the Packers will really, truly be for real. Other than that, big win for the Packers.
Yeah, Eli, you know how much I love the Packers. They are my pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, and I think they showed this week why they could do that. Jordan Love's got so many weapons. He had a great game other than the pick 6 he threw. The Rams are another team that's just so banged up right now. They played well even though they're 1-4, but good win for the Packers, Eli, in a game where their fans really showed out. I think now with Jordan Love back fully healthy, they're going to start to roll from here.
Okay, by the way, Jack went 7-7 on picks, 0-3 on LSU, Iowa 8-6, and 1-2 on Lock Survivor Upset. All right, next game on the list, Seattle lost to the Giants 29-20. It came down to a block kick at the end. The defense has been struggling. The injury report came out for tomorrow's game. And again, a lot of defensive weapons are out for tomorrow's game. So do not pick Seattle, whatever you do, because they are out a lot of defensive weapons, including Julian Love, a top player for the defense for Seattle. They've been really struggling. Offense is no better either. I mean, Geno Smith is clearly not the answer. Mike Macdonald's still a fantastic coach, but again, you're missing a lot of weapons on defense. And for the offense, you have no quarterback. And I think that's really the biggest issue in Seattle right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eli. This is just, it really does stink that Seattle has to play on Thursday night this week for 2 reasons. Number one, after a demoralizing loss like that against the Giants at home, you got to go on a short week now. Number two, against, really banged up and against the San Francisco team that's going to be hungry for a win. I still think there's some good things with the Seattle team. Obviously, you've got all those great receivers. You've got a good running back. I think the defense will figure it out at some point once everyone gets back healthy. But yeah, rough loss for Seattle. I know you're injured, but you still have to find a way to beat the Giants at home. But we'll see what happens with Seattle. Their team I'm interested to watch for the rest of the season. And as for the Giants, good win for them. And they've got a chance to get to 500 next week against a 1-4 Bengals team.
All right, thanks, Jack. And the next game that's on the list, after a couple of delays due to rain and lightning, the game played at 10 o'clock. ended at 1 in the morning, 12:59 to be exact. The longest NFL day since the game started at 9:30 in the morning with the London game. And the final score, Jack got correct, 20-17.
The pick,
How in
not
the
so much.
world how in the world did he get that score right? The pick was wrong, but he got the score
Yeah.
right. How in the world did he do that? Beyond me. Regardless, needless to say, the Cowboys came and showed they really were fantastic. Steelers, a little bit disappointing, but I think they'll be able to bounce back. Next week, the Steelers have the Raiders. The Cowboys have the Lions. Again, both these teams playing another tough 2 games, but again, Steelers are still in it to win, I believe. Just a rough game versus the Cowboys. As long as Russell Wilson was back and participating and healthy again, but I don't know if he will be the starter for next week. I hope not, because it seems like Justin Field is doing a decent job. Just saying.
Yeah, Eli, this was a great way for the statement way for the Cowboys for 2 reasons. Number one, Dak Prescott led a game-winning drive. It feels like if the Cowboys can't play from behind, it feels like they have to get a lead in order to win. And number two, on the road, the Cowboys have not won very many big road games lately, but this was a big road win against the 3-1 Steelers team. Let's see if this gives the Cowboys any momentum. Like, they've got tough ones they've got Detroit this week, and then they have a bye and then at San Francisco. So they've got a couple of tough games coming up. Let's see how they do in those games.
The Saints lose to the Chiefs 26-13. They really were horrible in that game. Travis Kelce finally woke up, had a very good night on the table. Patrick Mahomes also had a good day. Overall, the Chiefs are still perfect. They're 5-0. They have a bye next week, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and the Saints, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, which, again, it's Kansas City.
Well, Eli, that 2-0 start for the Saints feels like a lifetime ago. This was just a rough loss, Eli. But I will say this is probably the cleanest win the Chiefs have had all year. They didn't really have to sweat this one out. They won by 13 points at home, and they looked really good doing it. That defense is really scary, and now you're missing Derek Carr for the next couple weeks. That's a big loss for the Saints. Again, 2-0 start feels like a lifetime ago. We'll see what happens with them, but good win for the Chiefs at home. And by the way, that was your upset pick of the week. I like the upset pick, but Saints just had too much to overcome, unfortunately.
Absolutely. All right. Now that concludes the week 5 recap. Now time to make our week 6 Thursday night football game. It will be Thursday night football on Prime Video, 8:15 p.m. The 49ers are in Seattle to take on the Seahawks. For the first time this year, I am not taking Seattle. I am taking San Francisco in the victory, 28-20. I still feel like it's going to be a close game just because the way San Francisco has been struggling lately. So is Seattle. So I think it'll be a close game, but I think it'll be San Francisco on top, 28-20.
Well, Eli, honestly, I think I am, even though I'm not picking Seattle in this game, I think I'm going to root for Seattle to win this game. I want to see Seattle bounce back after after 2 rough losses. But I overall think the 49ers win 27-13 on the road. I think they're going to be hungry, get back to 500. This game is for first place in the NFC West, by the way. Whoever wins this game will be in sole possession of first place. So we'll see what happens, Eli. Should be a good game. I think it's a good game to have a Thursday night. I feel like every Thursday night game should be a divisional game. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but it feels like the divisional games on Thursday night are always the best ones. Like, look at Bucks Falcons last week. That was 30. But that's my pick. I'm going with the 49ers.
All right. Well, that concludes the 12th Horseshoe Podcast Week 5 recap. Join us on Friday at 7 o'clock for a prediction show. We cannot wait to pick these games for week number 6. And that concludes the show. From Jack Rizzo, I'm Elijah Weintraub. Go Seahawks, go Devils. Go